Hello, everybody. Welcome back to X-Plane 11. My name is Micah. We are here checking out for the first time the Cessna Citation C510 Mustang, of course, by Cessna. The developers, I'm not quite aware exactly who they are, but fantastic aircraft just got released in the X-Plane store for, I think, $30. So a very good bargain for an aircraft, and it seems to be a pretty high quality model with some high quality insides, as you will see coming up. So really excited to show you guys this aircraft. Very well put together aircraft, and yeah, so let's go ahead and get inside. So it is, of course, a glass cockpit. It's using the G1000 that's built into X-Plane with it slightly modified. You have on your left, far left, and far right, you have your primary display, PFD, and you have your center one, which is your multifunction display, your MFD. So we'll be using those mainly throughout the whole flight on all of the flight planning and everything like that. We have just some regular controls like you see, a very simplified center console that looks almost kind of like how you would see a Boeing, an Airbus center console throttle quadrant, I should say, because you have your idle, your throttle, and then you have your cruise, your climb, and your takeoff built into the actual throttle itself, instead of it being a separate entity for the autopilot to manage. So it's interesting to see that into an aircraft of this size. We have, of course, your standard Cessna yoke, and then you have some systems underneath it, stuff like that. You have your different circuit breakers on the left and the right, and same on the first officer side. You have more selectors, mainly environmental, on the right side. So keep an eye on all that as we go. All right, so now that we're here, let's go ahead and show you a little bit more about this aircraft. So to pull up its menu, it's actually this little binder right here. It has menu on it. I think that's a clever way of putting it in there. It brings up on the options on the left side here, you have weather effects. So that's like your rain and stuff like that. You can turn it on and off. Screen vignetting, you can turn those on and off, as you can see it happening right there. You also have your disabled 3D passengers. So if you have, when you set up your weight and balance, if you add passengers, they'll display or not behind you. You can toggle your yokes so that you can see what's below them. We'll probably keep them off for the main part of the flight so that we can actually see all of this and interact with it. You have a flashlight option, just like you have on your aviation flashlight, except it's not red. And then you have your GPU, which gives you external power, as you can see. It gives you external power there. So you have exterior doors, which I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to do. I've been clicking it and nothing's happened before, so I'm not exactly 100% sure why that's there, or what maybe they're going to be updating it. I know that because they have a built-in auto updater, so maybe that's going to be coming later. Weight and balance manager is already here, so we can actually go ahead and set up our fuel amounts, payload, and get your total weight. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up our fuel here while we're in this page, and we're looking for just around 977 kilograms of fuel. So we'll just kind of keep pushing it up even until we get how much we want. So 986. We always go over, never go under. So but we want it balanced as much as possible. So we got it balanced there, and that meets about the same. Zero fuel weight and total weight are about the same. So we're good on the weight and balance manager, so we'll deselect that. The other thing you need to pay attention to is the checklist. This is a pretty cool little checklist they have built in. There's a little black square here. You click to drag to make it larger, which I will do so that y'all can see everything that's going on here. And you get your pre-start, engine start, pre-takeoff, after takeoff, descent and approach, landing, and then your shutdown. Some simple, pretty simple, self-explanatory checklist here that we will be using as we go throughout the flight today, since I'm very unfamiliar with this aircraft, as you would expect for it being a kind of a showcase first look video. All right, so now that we've kind of gone on the overview of the regular part, what I do want to show you is the cabin. The cabin is a beautiful cabin. It is very well textured. You can tell they spent a lot of time back here working on the cabin itself, which I'm always been a cabin kind of guy. Cabin matters to me. So seeing this kind of showcase, I'm not sure why the engines are showing like they're rotating, because they shouldn't be with it being off right now. But so maybe something they need to fix. But in general, it is a beautiful cabin here. As you can see, very well modeled, in my opinion. Maybe a little bit more work on the exit door here. But I mean, stuff comes out. You can fold it back in. I mean, just high detail level over here as well with the Cessna Citation. So really happy with the purchase. And for it only being $30, I mean, you really get a lot. So I'm pretty excited to see this progress. As again, this is the first release, first day. So I'm excited to see as the updates come out as well. One thing I did want to kind of point out for developers maybe is maybe add a little bit more sound to the aircraft itself. It seems a little bit too quiet, if that makes any sense. So developers, take note. All right, so let's go ahead and get going here with our pre-flight and start up and everything like that. So we're going to start left going right. We have our DC power, and what we're going to do, make sure our left and right generator switches are in generator. Now selecting, you use the toggle buttons right here, and you can see there's an arrow up and arrow down. So you click and drag in the direction you want it to go. So bring it up. Same with the right generator. Battery switch goes to bat, so go up like that, and you see all the PFD and the MFD come online. You get a little bit of noise coming in as well, the air conditioner and the fans running for the displays and electronics. Standby instrument amber light. What we're looking here is we're going to make sure that the standby instrument right here, bat test is off, and then we go back to off, and we're good. And then we're going to check the parking brake is set, which I believe that is the set position, if I'm not mistaken. Pull is set, push is release. Yep. So pull, make sure that is set. I'm going to clear that master warning reset for now. Aviation power switch goes to on. So again, aviation, the power should be on. It is. Rotary test switch, I'm not sure exactly where that is located. I looked for it and looked for it, but could not find it. So we're not going to care about it. I didn't notice any issues. So if anyone knows exactly what that is and where it's located, let me know in the comments below. But I haven't noticed it, and it seems to be going left to right, and I haven't noticed any issues. So not exactly sure where that is and what it does. So anyway, all right, fuel quantity check. We've already done that, so we should be good there. And avionics flight plan. So we're gonna enter our flight plan. This, of course, is the G1000 suite from Garmin, but it's called the X-Plane 1000 suite because it's X-Plane and not the real aircraft. So this is your primary function display. So we are going to put our flight plan into here, as well as some other things. So we'll first start off with our flight plan here. I'm going to clear this out. This is an old flight plan. So I'm going to clear all of that out. All right, so we're flying from PDX, which is true. We're going direct to Kuga, so we're going to go ahead and look that up. Look for Charlie. Oscar. One thing I would like to see happen, and maybe the developers here would look into it, is having a keyboard kind of ability to do a direct keyboard entry, just to kind of speed up this process along, even though this is realistic in the fact that you have to actually do this in the real aircraft. So Kuga, that is correct. So go ahead and enter and accept that. You'll notice some things changed on here. showing what is the next waypoint. And right now it currently says KPDX, which is not true because we're actually there, so we'll actually end up clearing that particular waypoint. But anyway, next we'll go to the Craig is the next waypoint here, so we'll go ahead and put that in as well. There we go. KR, and then I, and then E, Craig. There it is. Enter and activate that. And then we have we're going to be flying an RNAV approach. And what that means is, since this doesn't have the RNAVs built into it, it has the approaches built in, like the actual ILS approaches and stuff like that, but it doesn't have the arrivals. It doesn't have your SIDS and stars. So what you actually end up having to do is manually putting in your SIDS and stars. So we actually go up here, and I'm going to pull up AviTab here to show the chart here, and the SID and star that we're going to be using. Now, it may look confusing, but that is okay, because what we're looking for is, make this a little bit bigger here. These are all the different ones that we're going to be using today to bring us in to the airport. Now, we are landing on, let's make sure I'm right here before I say anything else. 3-4 right. Since we're landing 3-4 right, this is the leg we're going to be using. So it's actually the shorter one, so we should be happy there. So Craig was our last waypoint. So our next waypoint will be Hawks Z. So we'll go ahead and input that here. H. Nope. A. W. Let's bring up W. And then Z. And then, I'm sorry, nope. That is incorrect. It's K. K is next. Hawk. And then Z. Z. So we go to enter that. That is our next waypoint. And then if you look again at the chart here, it continues on to line, foot, and goals. So we'll go ahead and input that, and I'll see you guys once we get on the other side of inputting all of these waypoints. All right, guys, we finished the last waypoint here, the Sonder waypoint on the RNAV arrival, the Hawks 7 RNAV arrival. Normally you would have, from here you'd have your ILS approach built in, which we can do here, but I'm not going to do until we're up actually cruising, just to show that you don't have to do it from the beginning here. You can if you want, but I'm not going to worry about it. I am going to focus on continuing down this checklist. So now that I've got my flight plan in, I go and hide that, make that go away, and continue on down our checklist here. So we have, let's see, avionics flight plan enter left and right ignition switches should be on normal. As you see, the left and right is on normal. Left and right fuel boost switches should be on normal. They are. Fuel transfer should be off. It is. Pilot mic switch should be headset. And if you notice, it says left, right, headset, reset, left, right, and then just keep it centered, and you're good. We can stay the ice system. So this is all the stabilizations. All of this should be in the off position. No reason for any of this to be on until you need it. So keep it off. Pilot static switch. So this is, of course, going to be your pilot tube. For those who don't know what that is, it is the what measures your airspeed. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that it is good and clear and doesn't have any issues. So you're just going to go reset, and then it should go to, then we go back to the off. Yep, off position, and clear that master caution as well. So just know that that's right there for you. Landing gear should be down. It is. Anti-skid should be on. So if we go anti-skid, on position, impact safety should be off, which it is, which is right here. This is your seat belts. Make sure it's in the off position. And exterior lighting as required. We're just going to turn our, we don't have to turn on a beacon right now. We actually get to that later in the checklist, so we'll leave it for the now. We will turn the panel and displays fully up because it is going to get dark on us here soon. We can go and start going across here. Air conditioning switch should be in the off position, which it is right here. It is in the off position. Air source selector knob should be on both. It's important to have this because it goes in the pressurization, and it's important to have pressure, right? So make sure we have that in the both position. I've made that mistake myself in other aircraft, and don't plan on making that again. Pressure conditioning switch should be in the normal position. It is in the normal position. Air source selector knob should be on both. I already said that and already selected that. Cabin dump switch, as I might have said. This should be on normal. This is basically guarded. Keep it as is. No reason to touch it. Leave it as is. I doubt you'll ever have to use it. Same with the first officer. You have the mic oxygen mask, but you're going to leave it on the headset because you don't have an oxygen mask on your face, so leave it on headset. Oxygen supply should be on armed. Not on, should be on armed. I'm sorry, wrong one. This right here. You pull it, kills the oxygen. Push is to arm it, so keep it armed. All right, throttles should be in the cutoff position, which they are currently in the cutoff position. And engine sync switch should be normal. That is this little switch right here, and it should be in the up position, which it is. Auxiliary gear control should be stowed, which it is, and I think this is what this is right here. Perhaps. I'm not sure exactly if that is the case, the auxiliary gear control, but we'll say it is and go with that. All right. Engine start. So pre-flight inspection is complete. Wheel locks, chocks have been removed. Doors are closed. Beacon light can come on. Air conditioning should be in the off position, which I believe it already is. It is. ECAS check, which is this right here. We're going to hit this button. So we currently have an error, which is pressurization and the PS HTRLR, which, if I'm honest, I think is the pilot static. Yeah, and it needs to go to the null position right here so that goes away. We want that to be armed, ready to roll. And oil pressure, again, that's going to be fixed when we start the engines, which we are going to get to right now. All right, battery voltage check. And all of your systems are right here in your multifunction display. Oil, PSI, temperature, volts, amps, cabin pressurization, your fuel. All of it is right here in front of you. No dials and steam gauges that you have to keep track of. It is all inside the glass cockpit, which is pretty cool. I'm starting to like glass cockpits more and more as I fly them. I was unsure about them at first, but again, the more I fly them, the more I get used to them, and I'm like, this is actually pretty sweet. So, engine start button press. So these are engine start buttons right here. So we'll start with the engine on the left. You'll notice the PSI is climbing. And don't worry about the master warning. That is okay. That's going to happen because it's flagging the oil pressure on the right, which the right engine hasn't started yet. Now, you'll notice that it's not going to completely start because you have to take your engine and pull it. Come on. Oh my gosh, I had a bad start. Let's try the right engine. Come on, where's the... There we go. Move that into the idle position so it actually gets the fuel flow. All right, looks like we got a good start on both engines now. So let's continue with our checklist. Let's bring that back up here. I think it's going to be down here. Yep. Checklist. All right. And we're good on all of this. So we are popping and rolling, ready to get going here. Safety seatbelts come on. windshield anti-ice switches as required. We're going to go ahead and turn them on here because we do expect to get pretty high today, 20,000 feet. Pressurization control goes to normal, which is over here, which is already on normal. We're on both. We are going to go ahead and turn on our air conditioner because it can get toasty inside the aircraft. We want to make sure we keep all of our passengers nice and warm and cozy. Elevator trim, check and set. We're not going to worry about that because we should be good right out the bat. Flight control is free and correct. If we bring up the menu again and see our this right here, go left, right, forward, back, checking our rudders. All of that seems to be in working order. And we close that out again. All right, speed brakes should be retracted, which they are, and flaps should be set. So if we go to flaps 1, which it's funny, like I kind of relate this to like a car because of how they designed this aircraft, and I'm talking about Cessna here, not the people who developed this. It's really simple. It's like up, take off and approach, and land. Like they don't name it 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever percentage angles. You have up, take off, / approach, which gives you 185 knots, and then land 150 knots. Like this when you can extend them. So it's like really self-explanatory, hard to mess up. All right, altimeter set. Let's go ahead and pull the current altimeter here in Portland. It's 3,000. So we can go ahead and adjust that. 3,000. And we're going to go ahead and bring up our transponder. We are going to be flying, well, technically we're not flying VFR. So with our code, we'll just type in whatever code, let's say 3521 is what they're giving us. And transponder will go to out right now because we are in, basically it's mode C. So we're about to be taxiing here. So turn that on. Cast messages check. This is your cast. This is your cautions and warnings, basically. Your systems and everything is blank here, so it means we're good to go. Parking brake release. So we go and release parking brake. And we are ready to taxi here in the Citation C510 Mustang. So let's go ahead and add a little throttle and get rolling. While we're rolling, I'm going to start setting up the autopilot here to our needed altitude here, which is 20,000 feet. 20,000 feet set. And we're, by default, it uses the GPS navigation system. If you are using a VOR or something like that, you would change your system actually to, let me go back out of that. You would change it to a different system, a VOR or something, just by selecting the CDI, and it changes the system automatically. But we're going to keep it in the GPS mode, as that is what we're using today. One of the cool things about having an MFD is having the map right here in front of you. It's really nice to have that. It's already been beneficial to me. Kind of helps keep you on track here while you're flying. I'm going to increase the range, though, on it a little bit here. Careful with this little thing, though. It can get up going really fast, really get going quick, very fast. It's a very quick little thing, very nimble. It's very nice. I can't complain. It's a very nice little aircraft. I love it. I've already fallen in love with it. We're going to get down here to, I believe it's going to be 10 right will be our takeoff. and pretty nice day out here in the northwest, and we'll be taking off and heading to the north towards Seattle. Now remember I talked about their flight plan, how right off the bat it says go to PDX, and so what we're actually going to do is scroll up to PDX, and we're going to clear it. So we go direct to Kuka, and that's what we want. All right, getting up here to our runway now, so we go in and bring up our checklist once again. And pre-takeoff system. Anti-ice systems as required, then off. We don't need them at all, so we're good. Standby instrument switches should be on now. And so we go down here to standby switches on. Air source selector should be on both. It is. Flap set for takeoff, trim set for takeoff, transponder. This can go now to on. Display avionics setup, we have already set all that up. Windshield anti-ice switches are on. PAX safety goes to PAX safety all the way up. Landing lights as desired, we will need them all the way up for takeoff here. Anti-collision lights and navigational lights coming on. Speed brakes are retracted. ECAS check. We are good across the board. Everything looks great for takeoff. So let's get up on out of here, out of beautiful Portland, Oregon. And take off. A little bit downward pressure on the yoke itself. Watching as that speed climbs. Releasing. And gently pull back on the yoke. And we're up. That simple. We'll bring the gear up now. Flaps coming up. Beautiful, beautiful. Bringing the throttle back now to climb. And we'll continue to bring on it up. And we'll go ahead and turn on our flight director here. And turn on our autopilot. Do flight level change. Say, is it one of these buttons changes the oh, you know what, I know how to change the speed. It's this right here. Yep, 240 knots seems like a good speed for our ascent out of Portland here. Go ahead and hit our nav button and let it fly us to Seattle. Alrighty. So you can see our flight plan here. We are heading to Kuga. That is our next on our waypoint. Actually, it's taking me not to Kuga. Yeah, take me direct to Kuga here. My bad, guys. It was taking me to a different waypoint. But just use the direct to button here to take us to that specific waypoint. And now we got a magenta line here, as you can see. So, cool deal. That was my mistake. Pilot error, not aircraft error. About to be crossing through 10,000 feet here, which we all know and love as turning off our landing lights. And there we have it, landing lights off. So yeah, it's a really easy aircraft to fly. It's a beautiful aircraft. I think it's well done. I'm not 100% on the flight mechanics of it. Obviously, I'm not a flight engineer or any type of individual who is an expert in it, but I do enjoy it very much so. Now, one thing I have noticed, I'm not sure if it's an error or intentional, the barometric pressure in this steam gauge versus this, what do you call it, PFD, is different, and I'm not sure why they're different. I'm pretty sure they should be the same. Well, I fixed it right there. Fixed it right there. So yeah, we're on 240 is our cruising, and we're doing a flight level change. That's how we're controlling our ascent, and that's how we're also to control our descent. You can do a vertical speed if you want, but I'm not going to use vertical speed, mainly because I want to maintain a certain speed on my descent to make sure I don't overspeed or anything like that. So as we continue up through, I did want to talk to you guys a little bit about my June goal and how I did on that. If you're watching this in July, which means June is already done and over with. So, with the June goal, which was to get 1,700 subscribers, I have currently 1,699 subscribers, and I am 6 minutes away from July 1st. So I'm pretty sure it's going to stay at 61699. Either way, it's a big deal for me. You guys blow me away every single time I set a goal. We meet it, and having one away is good enough for me. Every time we set a goal, we meet it, and it's been awesome to see you guys come out and show your support and everything like that. And people who donated and have send me super chats or donations through Streamlabs. Without your donations, I wouldn't be able to get this aircraft. So thank you so much to those who donated last couple streams. Not through the Donate Streamlabs donation. That is specifically being set aside for a radio panel. Those who donated through super chat and stuff like that, that money actually went directly into this aircraft. So me being able to show you this aircraft is directly related to you guys supporting me. So thank you so much for that support, and I hope that it's worth it for you. And if you're wanting to get a smaller jet, kind of almost like a personal jet kind of thing going on in X-Plane 11, I do highly recommend the Cessna Citation 510 Mustang. It is very nice. Kind of similar to the Eclipse and in its size and stuff like that. The Eclipse is a little bit smaller, but in general it's about the same size. But I think the Cessna Mustang is a little bit more well-rounded and completed. We're about to be passing through 18,000 feet, which we all know as when we set to standard on our altimeter. Now, I've never actually set to standard altimeter here on this, so I'm not sure if, yeah, that doesn't change anything. I didn't think it would. but that's okay. We'll have to manually change it as far as I'm aware. No biggie. If I'm wrong and there is a way to do a standard, I don't know it, but that's okay. But oh look, it changed it on both of them. That's fantastic. So yeah, so we're continuing on. We are 5 miles away from Kuga, so we'll be there momentarily. And as you see, we are about 5 miles away from it. So let's move this out of the way. And I believe we look to the right here. Yeah, we got some mountains over here on the right. It's a beautiful landscape over here in the northwest. I've always enjoyed it. Now we're reaching our top of ascent here. As you can see, it stopped controlling my speed here. So no real thing there. So we're still in climb mode, and if I show you that, you'll see that we're still in climb. So if we go bring it back to cruise, we're in cruising speed now, and it'll maintain that basic cruising speed, which is the Mach. And we're just flying. Now, we do want to maintain, pay attention here. We don't want to get too high or anything like that. If we bring in our approach or our arrival chart here, at Hawks, we need to be at 12,000 feet. So we can go ahead and set that, 12,000 here. As such, we'll wait till we hit Craig, basically, and then we'll start our descent now. Well, we'll start our descent at that point into the Seattle area. Go ahead and get rid of this information here and check out 3005 will be our altimeter. So paying attention here, we do want to make sure we meet all of these restrictions as required. All right. So we've hit Hawks. We got 27 miles. I'm sorry, we hit Craig. 27 miles, so we hit Hawks, which you see is coming in here. And we've got to be at 12,000 feet. So if we go ahead and select flight level change, it's going to start descending here, maintaining 250 knots. Or it should. Oh, it's on Mach level. That's why. Slow down there, slow down there. Oh boy. Yeah, it almost oversped there. Gotta be a little careful, I guess, on hitting that. Alright, we've stabilized at 12,000 feet. Boy, was that something else right there. And that was an error on my part. Again, error on my part, not on the aircraft's part. As we're approaching Hawks Z entry, we're going to go ahead and bring up the G1000 once again. We're going to go into procedures here. We're going to select our approach. I'm sorry, we need to go flight plan first. Go down and select Seattle here as our arrival. There we go. Enter that. And if we go back up, we go to procedures, select approach. Now we are going to be doing our approach into Seattle on the 3-4 right. So we go down 3-4 right. We'll use ILS. We'll enter that. You have different options: vectors, JPOX, Sonder, and Wagnet. We'll use vectors. Minimums. There are minimums for this approach. So if we go in here, bring up that particular approach here. Let's see, approach and ILS 3-4 right. We can bring up the minimums, which is going to be 572. So first off, we're going to select the it's not going to let me. There we go. I have to go into it. Barometric, and then go over here and select 572. So we're going up to 570. Enter that. And so you have the load or activate option. We're going to go to the activate option, and we'll keep it here until we get closer to the actual waypoint that we need to select, which is JIPOX. That's basically where we need to be. We do need to go ahead and start our vertical speed descent here. We need to select the altitude difference. We need to be at 8,000 feet vertical speed, and we're going to go down at about 700 feet per minute. If you look here at JPOX, we should be at 7,000. So if we bring it down to 7,000 actually, bring it on down here. Maintaining 200 and we'll actually bring it down to 230 because we got to be at 230 at JPOX as well. So 230 knots. Go ahead and start bringing it to idle a little bit so we can start descending as it needs to. And I want to make sure our navigational radios are set to the ILS frequency of 110.3. If we check here, we need to change this radio frequency here to 110.3 and make that the active. Still descending here. We can see the airport now off here to our left. So this is how it was supposed to go with the flight level change. That whole craziness was not supposed to happen. Thousand feet to go. Once we hit Sonder, we'll actually go ahead and activate that approach vectors. Again, manually adding that throttle to keep us about 230 knots. We just started picking up that ILS. So let's go ahead and activate that approach here. In just a second. We're waiting again. We're waiting until that Sonder waypoint. All right, let's go ahead and activate that. And see what is it doing here. Interesting that it leveled us off. And let's go ahead and start our flight level change down to 2,200. The speeds at about 220 will work. A little bit of a steep descent here, but I need to catch up to it. We also need to increase I forgot to change our barometer here. Switch over to our lock for our localizer. Go ahead and bring up that nav, which it's locking onto now. Seems like we're a little bit off here. We'll see how it does, though it's showing me that we're off. So let's do this. Let's go heading of 30 here. Get it back in line. Just for the sake of this. This is the second time I've flown the aircraft. The first time I flew the aircraft, I didn't have this problem, but that's okay. And now let's activate that nav. A little bit overshot it. Now let's go ahead and hit the approach button. And again, we're not getting onto this. I'm not sure why. What's going on here? So it looks like I might have to just take over here. It's not wanting to function properly for some reason. Well, now we're on the glide slope. Let's see if it does it properly. Should be on 3-4 right, which I believe is going to be that one right off in front of us, because that's a slightly different angle here. Alright, so I've basically cut my throttle almost all the way, and for that reason is so we can go ahead and get flaps down to approach. Gear can come down. And we're not on any runway for some reason. It is not working out. The ILS isn't. It's really interesting because it worked out fine the first time. So we'll go ahead and kill the autopilot now. And we're supposed to be on this runway over here, according to my flight director. This right here, but my flight director is not functioning. Interesting for sure. Not sure why that is the case. Maybe developers need to look into that, why it was not functioning. Or it could be, again, human error. I am not an expert at this aircraft in any way, shape, or form. And we'll wait a little bit here and go flaps full for landing. And we'll get a better view here. A little bit low on our glide slope. Bring it on in here anyway, nice and easy. killing that throttle. Just letting it calm down nice and easy. Come on. Touchdown. There we go. There we go. Woo. Got a little wiggly there. A little wiggly there. I did much better on my first landing, actually, than I did right then. Probably because the pressure of having people watch me. Anyway, guys, so that is kind of a first look. It's really my second look at this aircraft. I hope it was beneficial to you. I still have some learning to do with it, as you guys have seen. It's interesting to say the least, but I'm enjoying it. I like the aircraft. If you have $30 to spare and you feel like getting a nice little private jet kind of thing going on, definitely consider this one. There's a couple other good ones out there that are available, but definitely consider taking a chance with the Cessna Citation C510 Mustang. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time up in the sky.